Hi, my name is John.
And my name is Lloyd.
And we're the hosts of The Pint,
a pop culture podcast.
Lloyd, if you had to tell any of the people out there that might be listening to The Pint for the first time about anything unsavory or disconcerting we might do on the show, what would you warn them about?
Well, sometimes we drop spoilers, and sometimes we swear like motherfucking sailors.
Fuck yeah, we do. You heard it from him. You've been warned.
Listen in.
What the fuck are we doing way out here?
Oh, perhaps the good doctor will be kind enough to tell us.
Welcome back to a brand new episode of The Pint. My name is John.
My name is Lloyd.
And we are here tonight to talk about another film celebrating a anniversary this year. And I want to send this out to my buddy Stu from SWO Productions, who, when I said this one of the last times, he said, well, technically every movie is celebrating an anniversary every year. Stu, shut up. I'm talking about
Stu.
like 10, 25,
10,
50, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking round number anniversaries, Stu. We love you, Stu. But
we got a silver anniversary today.
Is that what it is? So we're doing 25 years, 1997. And the film we'll be talking about is called Event Horizon. We're going to get into that in a second. I want to introduce our guest for this episode. He's a good friend of ours from the Twitterverse, a podcaster, a Twitch streamer, and he's a pop culture know-it-all pretty much. It's 8-Bit Ray from the Gorilla Brain podcast. And what is it, Gorilla Brain Gaming, Ray?
No, not anymore. It's just 8-Bit Ray on Twitch now.
Okay, so why don't you tell everybody out there all about your show, all about your Twitch streaming, all that good stuff.
So you can find Gorilla Brain Podcast at any podcasting app that's out there. iTunes, Spotify. Is it still iTunes? I don't even know. Apple
Podcasts?
Yeah, whatever it is these days. I'm old school. You know, check out the MySpace. No, I'm kidding. But you can catch me on Twitter at Gorilla Brain Pod, on Instagram at Gorilla Brain Podcast, and on Twitch at 8-Bit Ray.
All right. And Ray, what do you play? Like when you go on, I don't understand Twitch. It's not my purview necessarily, but you go on, you play games, people watch you. Are you like a sports gamer? Are you a first person shooter, or what are you doing?
Usually first person shooter. Normally I'm playing Apex, but I'm a little pissed off at it right now. So I just today bought the new Ninja Turtle game that came out, Shredder's Revenge. So after I'm off of here, I'll be going live over there to play Shredder's Revenge.
All right. And you have, I think from hearing your recent stint on our friend So Wizard show, you have regular nights you stream, correct?
Yep. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Go check out Ray over at the 8-Bit Ray channel. I guess that's what you call it, right?
Yeah,
go there,
channel.
Type it in and check you out. Now, the reason we're doing this movie tonight, I wanted to throw this out there real quick before we get to the 5 questions with the Manster, because we have to delve into the psyche of Ray and find out things about
scary,
him that people might not know. But the reason I picked this movie is it is a film, obviously, that's hitting a round anniversary, Stu. And I know through our interactions on Twitter at one point, Ray is a big fan of this film. And he actually did a show a couple years ago that I listened to all about it, a solo show, very good, very in-depth. And I thought, well, you know what? We've been planning on having Ray on for a while. Let's give him something that he'd like to talk about. And my history with this movie, before we get into any of it, is that when it was coming out, I wanted to see it desperately. Desperately. I love like space horror. One of my favorite genres of things is like that, you always get it in the shows and movies, like the dead ship in space being discovered. I love that stuff. I never saw it in the theaters for whatever reason, but when I finally rented this thing 25 years ago, I was greatly disappointed in it 25 years ago. In the ensuing years, I had seen it, bits and pieces of it here and there, and my opinion kind of got a little bit better of it. So I wanted to come full circle, and we'll talk about that, obviously, when we rate it and everything. But Manster, let's talk Ray. what questions do you have for Ray? What are we going to dig deep down into this guy's soul and find out about?
Deep down, Ray. All right.
Deep? How deep we talking?
You should.
Balls
We're
deep.
going real deep.
Balls?
Balls. Well, even deeper than that.
Oh,
All right.
can you one ball in, one ball slapping on the butt? Is that what we're doing?
We're going all in, both balls.
Both balls in.
Yep, we're gonna stretch this one out, boys. Let's go.
And
Let's do
so
it.
speaking of little nuggets, all right, first question. Start off real easy. M&Ms or peanut M&Ms?
Just regular M&Ms. Although
Regular.
I'm lactose intolerant, so neither of those are good for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shit myself either way.
I hear that. But if you're gonna shit yourself, you're gonna go with the straight up
Straight up old school M&M. Yep.
non-peanut M&M. All
No
right.
peanuts. Peanuts don't belong in candy.
Well,
I might disagree with that, but
I disagree with that. But can we all agree on something if we're talking about M&Ms? Can we? And I understand why these companies do this, but can we all agree that like peanut and chocolate should be where they ended it? Like every time they come out with like the Rice Krispie ones and the peanut butter ones, they just don't fucking work. It's either just give me my peanut M&M or give me my chocolate. Lloyd, do you agree with me on that?
oh,
or
you're talking about M&Ms that's
in
all you need.
general. That's all
Yeah.
you need.
Yep, just peanut and just chocolate. No, you don't need the crispy ones inside. I mean, the Easter ones are kind of fun just because they got different colors for Easter. But
I don't
Fucking
know,
almond.
Reese's peanut butter. When you get the white cups, the just plain white ones, those are pretty good.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't
Yeah,
mind when
no-
Reese's does it. I just feel like M&M doesn't ever. Reese's will sometimes introduce something that is interesting. Like they did one recently that I tried and I actually liked. I wouldn't go out of my way for it a ton, but where they put a potato chip inside of it, and
Oh.
it added a whole kind of like a little salty flavor to it. But like every time M&M's comes out with a new M&M flavor, I try it and just go, why? Stop! Fucking
Right.
stop!
question number 2. Let's get away from food for a bit and let's say Resident Evil
Resident
or
Evil.
Silent Hill.
Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Straight
All
up.
right. All right.
I love Silent Hill. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely adore it.
Creepy as fuck.
Yeah, but it just goes off the rails. After part 3, it just really goes off the rails, and
Yeah.
it's not as good as it used to be. It's like a shell of itself. Resident Evil, yeah, man, we're punching boulders in part 5, and 6 was convoluted as all hell, but it's still an overall great series. I still enjoy it. Even the stupid on the rails on the stupid on the rails games. The Umbrella
Rails,
Chronicles.
Yeah. Yep.
Even they were fun. I mean, it has such a great lore to it. And Silent Hill, while they are great games, I'm going to go Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Eh.
Well, you can't go wrong with that, man.
I'll even defend the first Resident Evil movie. That'll be another movie I add to the list of the hill I will die on.
I actually don't mind a couple of the Resident Evil movies myself. Not a popular opinion, but
I got to go the opposite way. I saw the first one and I didn't enjoy it, and it kept me away from the rest of them. I thought and from what everybody says is like, if you liked any of them, you'll like the first one. I didn't like the first one. And then it just, and we'll talk about it in a second here because of, the crossover. It just came it was like old school Bond every 2 years. I'm like, what are they up to now? Like fucking 9? And now they just rebooted it. And I heard the reboot was fucking terrible. And now there's a TV show coming. So it's crazy. It's crazy.
I consume it all. I'll give it anything a chance. If it has that name on it, I will give it a chance.
All right. Ray's a mega fan.
all right,
Yep.
Here we go. Lost in Space or Land of the Lost?
Lost in Space. We talking the original, or are we talking?
Yeah, well, I'm talking original, but you can choose.
Okay,
to go
because that
whichever
Netflix
path.
series for Lost in Space is garbage. I enjoy the '90s movie more than I did the Netflix series.
The '90s movie that had Matt LeBlanc in it.
And Heather Graham. Yeah.
Heather Graham. Yep.
Oh, right. I saw that in the theaters. That was fucking awful.
Right.
Like, William Hurt. Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah. No, I used to sit in front of that as a kid, like before school, yell at that Dr. Smith. Man, what a prick that guy was.
He was, man. What was his fucking problem? And he was so like,
That's right.
he was so like madly effete too. He's like, oh.
Yep. All right, here we go. Crunchy Cheetos or the puffy cheese puffs?
Puffy cheese puffs. I'm not a big fan of crunch. I don't really even like fried chicken like that. Like anything that's like super duper crispy just feels like it was just overcooked and shouldn't be in my mouth.
Wow,
Interesting.
that's a hot take, I think.
Not really. There's a lot of people like me.
Really, I
Yeah.
like the crispy. If this were mine, I think I'd go with the Cheetos myself.
You're by yourself, buddy, because I'll tell you what, I'd go Puffy.
You go Puffy? That stuff gets stuck in your teeth, man. Then you got like a whole coating.
It's part of the adventure.
Yeah. You eat it, you swallow it, and then you got to pull the rest off and eat that like you're some kind of like
I used to eat that when I had braces. You know that I had braces when I was like 50.
Yeah.
And eating Cheetos, cheese puffs, they were the worst thing ever. Took you an hour and a half just to clean it out.
It's called having more for later.
Yeah.
You dig it out and you got a whole other bite.
That's what I used to hear all the time.
Like 2 or 3 nights ago, we watch YouTube a lot, and Unwrapped with Mark Summers is always popping up on my YouTube. And I just watch like random like 5-minute, we're gonna watch how they make M&Ms, and it was Cheetos. And I just said to my wife, I said, do you prefer the crunchy or the puffy? And I believe she said the puffy, which is what I go with as well. I like the crunchy as well, but the puffy are more addictive. Do you notice that? Like if you had a big bag of the crunchy, if you had a bag this size of the crunchy, you would get tired of it a quarter of the way through. Me, if I had a big bag of the puffy ones, I'm eating the whole fucking thing. I'm gonna eat the whole thing.
I think you're absolutely right. And for me, there's a special what is it? Maybe Jack's. There's a certain brand that are really good ones.
Oh yeah,
there they are right there.
Flamin' Hot too. I don't know. I knew that they made the Flamin' Hot in the puff style. I might have to.
They're new.
Yeah, I've only seen them in the crunch.
And I'm a fat ass, so I have the lockdown or the know-how on the snacks.
I'll shout her out right now. She might listen, but on Instagram, I follow a young lady. Don't Feed the Wolf. She's got a great Instagram. Check her out at Don't Feed the Wolf, and her whole thing is about snacks, and like she is like lockdown snack person. Like something comes out, I don't know if she spends a lot of time going out there and finding this shit, but like something comes out brand new before you even heard of it, she knows about it, she's had it. So yeah, Don't Feed the Wolf. Check her out. It's very
Don't Feed the Wolf. All right.
Yeah.
All right, one more. Last one here. Doom or Castle Wolfenstein?
Doom. Yep.
Doom kind of related to the movie we're watching tonight.
I like the Doom movie. Hot take. I know. I like crappy cinema. I'm sorry. I like that cheesy shit, man. I love it. So yeah, Doom, another great franchise, man. I remember playing Doom on a floppy disk. If anybody listening is of age to remember what a floppy disk was, a 12-inch at that, with how many kilobytes did it have on it? Like 30 kilobytes. You download a game now, it's like 120 kilobytes or gigabytes. Now, back in the day, no, not so much. 12-inch floppy, you got just a little bit. But man, I remember I downloaded it off the internet. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one.
Yeah.
You guys are old enough to remember the internet?
Good. The CompuServe.
Yeah, I was thinking about it the other day. I remember when in 1996 or late 95, when my parents got our first home computer, like first real like home computer, Windows 95, all that stuff. I remember it took me overnight to download the Mission Impossible trailer, the first Mission Impossible trailer. I remember I left it on overnight, and I told my parents, "Don't touch it. I'm going to get up at like 8." And then of course, even then, as I watched it, it's like all choppy and shit. And I'm like, oh, they're fighting on top of a train. I think he's hanging in a room on a cable. I think. So yeah, I totally get you, Ray. You may be an elder statesman yourself, but you're with a couple older guys right now. So
I fit right in.
Yeah, so we remember. All right, let's talk about Event Horizon. August 15th of 1997. This thing comes out in the theaters. Directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. It's important to throw the W.S. in so you don't think it's the guy that made There Will Be Blood and Boogie Nights.
But that's retroactive, though, right?
Yeah, he didn't have the W.S. in this movie. He's just Paul Anderson.
Right. He added the W.S. later on, right? When I think Paul Anderson came around. Paul W.S. Anderson directed, as we mentioned before, most of the Resident Evil movies of the first run. I think he just didn't do one. And Alien vs. Predator he did as well. And another thing he does is Milla Jovovich. He's married to her. So good for him.
So Monster Hunter then, huh?
Monster Hunter. I did not see that, but
he did do Monster Hunter. I think
he did. Yeah, that was I think his last film he directed at this point. Written by a guy named Philip Eisner, who really not a lot of credits. The Mutant Chronicles, which I only remember, I've never seen it, but being a comic book reader, it was always on the back cover of comics. It had Thomas Jane, right. And it was just like, it was one of those things for like 8 months. It would always be on the back cover.
Malkovich was in that too, right?
Maybe. It was like a post-apocalyptic
I think it was him
type thing. And he also did a movie that came out on Netflix last year with Jason Momoa called Sweet Girl. He wrote those.
Also, he did something called Firestarter Rekindled.
Oh, yeah, right. I saw that. And Mortal Kombat was Paul Anderson, right, Ray?
Yep.
Yeah, he directed the first Mortal Kombat. Interesting story, and Ray, jump in and fill in anything that I don't have right here.
Yeah.
Paul Anderson was offered to do Event Horizon, but he was also offered to do Soldier, which was a film starring Kurt Russell that he did do a year later. Kurt Russell, so he passes on Event Horizon.
No, right? He passed on a couple of things.
He passed on X-Men.
Yeah, he passed on X-Men. He passed on Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I don't know how that could have gotten any better, but he passed on that one. And there was one more, but I can't remember what it was he passed on.
So then he initially passes, I think, on Event Horizon to do Soldier, but then Kurt Russell tells him, I want to spend a year getting into like fucking super mega shape. So he's like, awesome, because that was for a different company. He tells them, okay, we're going to do this, but we're going to wait a year for Russell to get in shape. Now he goes back and tells his agent, let's look at Event Horizon. And it's just sitting there. So he gets to do that one too. But part of this movie has a very convoluted production, and not his fault, but part of it was he now has a set amount of time to make this movie. And also Paramount Pictures is kind of putting a rush on this movie, Lloyd. Do you know the reason why?
I don't remember why they rushed it. No,
I do.
A certain movie called what, Ray?
Titanic.
Oh, that's right.
Fucking Titanic tried to sink Event Horizon. Originally they were supposed to have swap dates. Titanic was supposed to come out in the summer blockbuster. Didn't happen with production delays. They switched it with Event Horizon.
Yeah. So Titanic initially was supposed to come out in July of 97. It gets delayed to December of 97 because obviously there was, that was a big production and it didn't go off as smoothly as Cameron wanted it to. So now Paramount has like a summer slot that's empty, and that can't happen. So they go, okay, Paul Anderson, you now have to make this with a release date of August 15th. This movie from green light to release was like 10 months.
10 months.
10 months.
Which is fucking unheard of. There was one other movie that was very close to that I had read. We never did a show on it. Lethal Weapon 4. From the time Lethal Weapon 4 was greenlit to the time it came out was also like 9 or 10 months. So not very common, but it happens. There's originally guaranteed by the Directors Guild Association of America a 10-week editing phase that everybody gets. You make a movie, you have 10 full weeks as long as you have completed. Well, Ray, what happens? They don't complete, right?
No, they don't complete. What happens is that they shorten the time frame and they say instead of 10 weeks, you now have 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Make it happen. Best of luck.
So the initial shooting goes over a little bit, that eats into it. And then when they finish that, they realize they still have 2 full weeks of second unit shooting to do. Everything he has to do to complete the filming is, because of the release date lock, is just giving him less and less time. Less and less time.
Yeah, and he was editing as he was filming. Like when they were doing the end sequence of the movie, he's still editing the beginning. So he's really got the pressure on him from Paramount to really get this thing out for the summer slot. Yeah, it was very, very rushed. And I don't know how he pulled it off. A room of 350 people somehow pulled this great movie off.
So, Manster, I'm going to ask you, because I don't know. Have you ever seen this movie before?
I have seen it before. Yeah, I think I saw it years and years ago, around when it came out. But I did watch it last year. Just out of the blue, watched it. So
it popped up on Tubi a couple of months ago.
Yeah, Tubi.
That's where a lot of people just started watching this for the first time, or maybe just revisiting it like we're doing now. But man, I've been a lifelong Event Horizon guy, so I saw it pop up. I watched it. I downloaded the 4K just for this episode so I could see every little speck and detail.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm very dedicated.
So, Manster, let me ask you, as someone that's probably come into this the latest in terms of like your most recent viewing.
Yeah, right.
Before we even get into talking about the movie, does this movie ring to you as a rush production? Do you see that?
You know, I wouldn't pick it out, but yeah, knowing that, I think I can see that. But it's not super polished. I mean, there's things in it that you can tell were rushed, but I think it totally works.
Yeah.
I can tell. I mean, you guys both like it. This is by no means. It stands in the shadow of Alien, obviously Aliens, but it's very entertaining to me anyway. I don't know why it has such a low score on, say, Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that.
I can tell you why.
What
everyone
do you
hates
think, Ray?
everyone hates Paul W.S. Anderson.
Oh, okay.
That's why they're sick of him, not the movie.
You know what's really funny is preparing for this episode, and because I wanted to give this movie more of a chance, I was on Amazon last week and I was buying a couple Blu-rays that I needed, and I looked up the Shout Factory, Scream Factory for the newest version. It was like $20. I was like, fuck it, I'll just buy it. I like this movie enough. I think that it'll amuse me. So I bought it and I watched the movie like 2 days ago, and then I started watching some of the extras. I watched like a little bit of the making of and stuff like that. And I've always been aware that people seem to dislike Paul Anderson a lot. And I don't really know a lot about him. I do know that most of his movies, in my opinion, like I wasn't a fan of Mortal Kombat, Alien vs. Predator, whatever. So I'm not really on the guy's dick, but I'm watching the interviews with him and I'm like, this is a well-spoken, intelligent, good dude. Like, why does everybody dislike this guy? Like he as he's talking about this whole project, and which initially, like, it ends up bombing, didn't do his career any favors. He's very upbeat about it. He has a lot of great memories about it. I don't know. I liked watching that. I always like to dig into that stuff to see who
I wish I could have seen some of the extras. I just rented it on whatever streaming platform.
I'll lend it to you.
No, but I've been thinking of buying it myself too.
Yeah, it's absolutely worth it. All right, Manster, let's get into the cast of this movie.
My God, it's full of stars.
So we have Lawrence Fishburne as Captain Miller, basically the commanding officer of the Lewis and Clark. Everyone knows Lawrence Fishburne. I mean, Morpheus of Matrix,
Yeah, that's the Lewis and Clark, not the Lois and Clark Superman fanboys. Yeah.
What'd you guys think of Fishburne?
I liked him in the slot. I thought he basically plays the very straightforward captain. You know what I mean? That's his role in this movie. Is he's the straightforward character who just needs to do the job and wants to do the job, and his number one priority is his people, not the mission they're on. And we'll talk about the movie and the mission in a few minutes. But that I like that. I liked him a lot.
I think he was psychologically damaged in the movie because he had, the PTSD from his previous mission where, homeboy burned alive and things like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's why he's straightforward. That's why he's, we're on time mission. We need to go, we need to do this. We need to get out of here. He's very straightforward. No joking around. Just get it done because he doesn't want to lose anybody like he did before. It's all psychological. If you dig a little bit deeper, guys, anybody listening, dig a little deeper.
Dig deep.
Yeah. I think his biggest deficiency in this entire movie, if you had to count anything against Fishburne, is that really weird captain's chair in the Lewis and Clark that they have him in. Like, what the fuck was that? Like, let me say this right off the bat, for especially not just for a movie that was pre-produced very quickly. The ships, the interiors are all awesome. Like, it looks great. But this captain's chair is the goofiest fucking thing I've ever seen in a movie. It hangs right from like a track, and that's not really a big deal. So he can go back and forth in the bridge and a little bit further back. But what's goofy about it is it's not really stabilized. So like when he's sitting in it, he's like swinging a little bit always.
Yeah,
and it's just like every time I see this movie, I go, that's just, I don't know. I would not have done that. I would have stabilized the captain's
Maybe that
chair.
goes towards the rushed production.
I've always called it the fish hook with a cushion.
It's like he's in one of those old school like wicker like things that would be in your
those hanging
backyard.
wicker baskets. Yeah.
All right, who else we got in this thing?
They should just put a Papasan chair in there.
Very weird. That chair is very weird. I would not be comfortable in it.
Yeah. Then we have Sam Neill as Dr. Billy Weir, designer basically of the Event Horizon. Sam Neill, pretty popular at that time, coming off Jurassic Park movies.
Yeah, In the Mouth of Madness, the John.
Madness, yep.
I defend that movie. That's another one, the Hill to Die For movie, guys.
I just rewatched it a few weeks ago. I saw it in the theaters, did not like it 25 years ago or longer. I rewatched it the other night, and it definitely is better than I remembered. Definitely better than I remembered.
Way better. People give it a lot of heat because it's like, oh, it wasn't John Carpenter's best. Well, you know what? It wasn't his worst either.
Yeah, no, that's for sure.
I think I just bought like a multi-pack, and that's in there. I'm planning on getting to those.
But
yeah,
Sam
check
Neill,
it out.
He was amazing. Sam Neill sold that movie.
All right, then we have Kathleen Quinlan as Peters, the medical technician. Kathleen Quinlan, man, I love her.
Yeah, I can. This is gonna sound silly, but I always go back to The Doors with her. Yeah. When there's that scene where she plays a photographer that I think Jim Morrison like becomes enamored with, and he's banging her, and I'm 15 when The Doors comes out. I see this in the movie theaters, and it's a sex scene, and Jim Morrison's banging her, and she's going. I'll never forget it as long as I live. She's going, "Fuck me, rock god," and in my 15-year-old brain, I'm like, "Is this what sex is? How awesome is that?" And no one has said that to me.
So instead of becoming a rock star, you became a podcaster.
Yes, yeah.
We are rolling in the pussy, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
You saw the most recent The Hills Have Eyes, right?
Yes, she was the mother. Yeah, she was the mother
in that. Yeah,
and she also we did a movie last year. She was very young. American Graffiti. Remember, she was one of the girls at the like the sock hop or whatever the fuck it was.
Yep. Great movie. Then we have Joelle Richardson as Stark, second in command, communications and executive officer.
Yeah, she was. What else is answer? What else is she? She's familiar.
Well, she was Liam Neeson's wife, right?
No, that was Natasha. Oh, that's her sister.
That's okay.
That's her sister, right?
My bad. You know what? I didn't write down any of her movies.
That's all right. We'll figure it out.
I can't remember. Yeah,
Event Horizon.
Event Horizon.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I know. You know, I know her from being in Event Horizon and being hot.
There you go.
Yeah.
Then we have Richard T. Jones as Cooper, the rescue technician.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. I've never seen a rescue technician before, but
I mean, my previous job, I was a color technician.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a technician for everything.
It's pretty
apparently.
Close. Same thing.
Can't wait till I'm a lifeguard and it's a CPR technician.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of funny that in this movie, so real quick, I'll jump in real quick with the plot in between the cast here, is there's a ship called the Event Horizon that disappeared many years ago around Neptune, and it has reappeared years later. Planetary Union or whatever send the creator of the Event Horizon, Billy Weir, the what's his name? The Sam Neill character, and this crew of a ship called the Lewis and Clark out to investigate. There's the plot of the movie, right? The Lewis and Clark is a rescue ship, yet the only rescue technician on the ship is what's his name? Cooper. Which I think is funny. Like, there's a million other jobs on this thing. He's the only one, I guess, technically good for the job. All right, what's the next person in cast?
Back to Joelle Richardson, the girl with the dragon tattoo.
Oh, I never saw it.
The original or the remake?
No, the American one, the remake.
Okay.
Yeah, she was the sister.
She was the girl with the dragon tattoo?
No, that wasn't her, but she was in the family of the guy who was the murderer.
Okay.
Jack Noseworthy as Ensign Justin, chief engineer, and just all around good looking kid who's got to die.
Yeah.
Baby bear,
mama bear.
Baby bear.
He was, in the mid 90s when MTV was first starting to try to branch out into like original shows. He was on a show called Dead at 21, which I never watched, but it was on for like 2 or 3 years. He was the main character. And then the only other thing I really know him from is I'm a big fan of the movie U-571.
Yeah.
He's the American GI or the sailor that could speak German. And they use him throughout the movie to communicate with the Germans.
I guess he was in Encino Man as well. He played skater number 1.
That's an important role.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, honestly, Ray, out of any skater, number 1, like, because there had to be skater 2 probably. Not as important. Yeah.
But skater 1 got more camera time. That's the important thing. Absolutely. It led him to Event Horizon. Like, we loved your work in Encino, man. You were skater 1, right? Oh my God.
Right. You were skater 1.
I knew the shit was going to pay off.
Knew I should have taken that role. Yes.
So then we have Jason Isaacs as DJ. medical doctor. Very, very sullen dude. My favorite role of
Lucius.
his was that Star Trek thing he did.
Oh, I was gonna say Lucius Malfoy from Harry Potter.
Oh, there you go.
He gave Dobby
Right.
a sock, guys.
That's
Dobby
right.
is now a free elf because of Event Horizon.
Yeah, Lucius Malfoy, and you're right. Yeah, he was the captain in the first season of Discovery. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a bunch of things. I mean, this is
Yeah.
really probably one of his earliest things. This is before
Yeah,
people
very
knew
young,
who he
yeah.
was. Yeah.
And then I love this guy's name. Plus, he's pretty good. Sean Pertwee
Pertwee.
as Smitty Smith, the pilot of the Lewis and Clark. Biggest thing I remember him from was that Gotham, that god awful Gotham TV show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he played Alfred, right?
Alfred. Yep.
Yep, he's a good character actor.
Yeah. He actually I hadn't seen Soldier. I saw Soldier once years ago. I'll probably go back and rewatch it. But Jason Isaacs and Sean Pertwee are also in Soldier. So they
Oh, really?
followed
Okay.
they followed Anderson over. Pertwee, the other thing he's probably most famous for is his father, John Pertwee, was I'm gonna probably get this wrong. Doctor Who fans, chill the fuck out. I
Mhm.
believe he was the third Doctor. So he's from a acting family.
I'll do one more here, and I'm going to give her a shout out because she was naked. She showed some titty. Holly Chant. Holly Chant as Claire Ware or Weir.
Claire Weir.
Yeah, Claire
the
Weir,
wife. Yeah.
the wife. Whew. Boy, what a harrowing scene in that bathtub.
Totally.
I mean, even with no eyes, I mean, don't give me an option for another whole lady. Come on.
That's two. Ray, that's two.
in one and out the other. I'll
There you
make
go.
it work. Floss it.
Curve it around, floss it.
Yep.
All right. So, like we said, the Event Horizon is this. They set it up. We've colonized the moon. We've gotten to Mars, and the Event Horizon is this ship that is powered by a gravitational engine of just brand new technology.
Definitely a unique looking ship.
Oh, totally. It kind of has Klingon like warbird look to it a little bit with the long neck
It's
and
stretched out, yeah.
and the back piece, but I mean, very, very cool.
I would have
And-
said that it looks more like a crucifix.
Well, yeah,
Oh, for
there's
sure.
a lot of that imagery.
Very, very gothic imagery. Yeah.
A lot of the fucking the port window in the bridge is a fucking is a cross and
Mhm.
everything. So this ship is sent out to basically, now that we've colonized Mars and all this, to go through the universe and the galaxy and kind of discover things. It disappears many years ago, and all of a sudden it reappears. Did you guys read? So one of the first scenes in the movie is a shot of
Yes.
Weir waking up, and he has a nightmare about his wife. We soon learn that most of these characters have some form of trauma, and I'll go through the characters and give you guys a chance to talk about that in a second. He gets up and he has a glass of a cup of coffee and looks out of a window, and it's a pullback shot of him being on a space station. Did you read about that, Lloyd?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
About how much that cost?
So that one shot, it's upside down to start with, which I thought was pretty cool because you're in space and you've got the whole, so the camera pans out and spins around. Basically, I mean, to me anyway, showing me, hey, I don't think this guy is, straight up. I think there's going to be a lot of twists and turns with this one particular character. So that's what that meant to me. But that shot, which lasts 45 seconds in the movie, took 10 weeks to film and get it in the movie, and took a third of the budget.
Yeah.
Yep.
1/3 of the budget. One freaking shot.
Also, I think Elon Musk might have stolen that idea from Event Horizon, putting like a satellite. He wasn't on a satellite; he was on a station. But give it time. Elon Musk will get him up there. But it's in low orbit, and that's where his Starlink satellites are now. I wonder if he got it from there.
Good old Elon Musk.
Fucking
Yeah.
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
So we then move forward to essentially a ship, the Lewis and Clark, and very alien and alien-esque. Everybody is in a stasis pod. These stasis pods are pretty cool, though. Ray, give me an idea of how these things work, or at least the difference between what we see in Alien and what we see in these things.
Well, in Alien, it was just more of like an air tube kind of sort of. It wasn't like liquid. In this one, you're filled up kind of like the Bantha tanks in Star Wars.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's just different multicolor. I think it was green or was it blue? Blue.
it was like a greenish color.
Right.
yeah,
I think
teal. We'll
Unless
go
you're
with teal.
vertical.
they called them couches, gravity couches.
Yeah, gravity
they-
couches.
They basically say that the speed you're traveling at, if you're not in that liquid, it would like fucking destroy
Just
your
incinerate.
skeleton.
Liquefy your skeleton, right?
Yeah. So again, in a theme in this movie, which we've already seen once early on, where he has a nightmare about his wife, he has another nightmare inside the gravity chamber itself, and he hits a button and flushes himself out, gets out, and then when he gets out, he's still in the dream. It all happens again.
Yeah.
And then we get the scene that we get in all these movies where everybody wakes up, they have a little bit of breakfast, and then they explain the mission. So the mission essentially, Ray, right, like I said, is that they're going to the Event Horizon. But what does the crew not know about the Event Horizon? What do they think happened to it?
They think that it just disappeared. They didn't know that it had gone through dimensional portals to hell and things like that. So, yeah, they're going in blind, and only Sam Neill really knows. He only knows what's really going on because he built the damn thing.
Yeah, they think the story original cover was that it blew up, right? They said that it got destroyed, I think.
No, they just said it disappeared. They don't know what happened to it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is when they did the blurb in the beginning, and it said it disappeared, and then it said this is the greatest disaster in all of history.
Space exploration.
I'm like,
Space,
it
yeah.
disappeared. How was that
Well,
considered the greatest disaster? That was just a weird.
Well,
it was just weird wording for me.
It was
The loss of
supposed to
life.
be, no, not even that. Just what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be taking us to the stars, and we didn't get there because the Event Horizon disappeared.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a beacon of hope. Put it that way.
So Weir explains to everybody how the gravity drive works, and none of them can believe it
Or understand it.
or understand it. So
Layman's motherfucker, do you speak it?
Lloyd,
English.
if you could speak layman's term to the audience, how would you describe what the Event Horizon's gravity drive does to get you from one point to another?
Well, what the gravity drive does is takes 2 points in a different location, and it folds. Basically, the gravity folds up into those 2 points laying on top of each other, and you can just go right through in an instant.
Right. So it takes
It folds space and time.
right. Takes your origin and your destination and puts them in the same place, and then you just slide through it. Which he uses a piece of paper and a pen to describe, and they don't get it because it doesn't sound right. It doesn't make sense.
Oh,
But,
and shout out to Miss 2047 on that poster. It's nice to know that thick girls get love in
Yes.
2047.
yes.
Nice.
Well, what's even crazier about this movie is that this movie came out in 1997, right? But we're in 2022, and as I'm watching this movie, I'm like, this isn't that far off. Like,
Well, 7 years ago, we should have landed our first moon base.
Right.
According to Event Horizon, 2015 is when we landed on the moon and started our whole exploration of the universe.
yeah, all
Right.
right.
2032, what? Colonize Mars?
Yeah,
10
Yeah, so
years.
10 more years.
All
can't
right.
wait.
Get on it, Elon Musk. Let's do this. Or Bezos, whichever one you're using to get there first.
Together, we can get there together.
So they go out and they're going to go back into stasis for a little bit and then get out to the Event Horizon. They get out there. We have this great shot. Again, I want to stress that, and they talked about this in the making of, that within the next couple years, if there was a movie about a spaceship like this, 90% of it would be CGI. There's not a lot of CGI in this movie. There's not a lot. And I will say, I think the practical effects in this and the model work and all that work really well. The CGI in bits is a little wonky. Like when they get to the Event Horizon and they initially get on, and it's a scene early on in the movie too, where they're showing stuff kind of floating in the Event Horizon. It doesn't really look great. It doesn't look great. But again, I have to divorce myself from that idea because it was also 1997, right? I mean, so
Well, you also have to remember is that Paramount had their foot on their neck. So instead of sending what Paramount has a very good working relationship to this day, ILM, Industrial Light and Magic. But for this movie, they said, we ain't using ILM for this. We have other projects that need them, and the wait list is too long. You wouldn't make it in time for the deadline. So here, use this European company. There's two CGI companies that they used out of Europe because they filmed everything in Europe. They did it all in Europe. So now the CGI is from Europe. There you go. That's why the CGI wasn't exactly mind-blowing.
yeah, fucking European CGI fucking us up again.
Using fucking European Craigslist. to find your CGI guy.
No, they use European Fiverr.
Pierre's list.
They're on Fiverr in 1997.
Yep.
Who's the cheapest here? This guy says he can make shit float in a spaceship for $7. He'll provide us with a PNG, a JPG.
A what? That file format wasn't around in 97.
A BMP file.
There we go. A paint file. Yeah.
Oh, paint. Yeah, PNT. Yeah. All right. So they get to the Event Horizon and they dock. I did find it a little weird that they couldn't dock anywhere like less delicate than the antenna, which they totally crush. And even weird
Low bearing
like,
structure.
It is now.
Yeah, it is now. And did you find it funny too? Did you guys notice a line of dialogue later on in the movie where they're trying to get communication out on the Event Horizon? They say they can't because the antenna is damaged. I don't know if that was the same antenna, but I'm like, well, no shit, it's damaged. You fucking crushed it on the way in on purpose. So Manster, they get on, and who goes on board? We get Miller, the captain. We get the Kathleen Quinlan character.
Kathleen Quinlan Peters. Cooper?
Yep. No,
And
not
John-
Cooper. Baby Bear. Baby Bear.
Justin.
Justin.
Justin,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
I always want to say Dustin. I think it's just the Stranger Things playing in my brain.
I always get those mixed up.
So they all pop on and they all go to check different things out. And like, let's just be honest. Like, there's a scene about 25 minutes into the meat of this movie where a lot of weird shit has happened.
Mhm.
And they're watching a very weird video on the screen, right?
That's late. That's the video, the orgy, the blood orgy.
The orgy video. But I'm saying at that point is when Miller goes, "We're leaving." He should have said, "We're leaving" way at the beginning.
You should have said we were leaving when they heard the sound clip in Latin.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Ray.
Don't trust people that
something
speak
like that.
Latin.
Yeah.
Serial
No,
killers
you can't
speak
trust
Latin.
It's a dead language for a
As
reason.
soon as you encounter Latin, you got to turn tail.
Yeah. No, if I ever come across something written in Latin and someone around me goes to read it, I will fucking knock them out first because it just doesn't work. But actually, that's a good. I'm glad you brought that up. I passed by it for a second. I thought this was a little bit goofy in the movie. Was they have a sound clip from the black box of the Event Horizon, and it's just fucking craziness.
It's fucking disturbing as hell.
It's disturbing, and in the background you hear a voice say like "Liberate et tuum," right? And it's clear it's not like they had to have a scene where they had to put it through 15 filters.
Right.
Now these guys are already at the Event Horizon. Why are they the ones that are fucking translating this?
Yeah.
Translating this. Shouldn't that have been translated on Earth? Like someone should have said, "Oh shit, that says like fucking save me or save yourself."
We'll just wait till they get there. No worries.
It was a little bit of a weird maybe plot moment that but okay, I get it.
I guess
so
Google Translate wasn't a thing in 2047.
No.
Right.
So Ray, what do they think it says?
Save us, but it turns out to be something different that we'll get into later.
We'll get into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they get on the ship, and just like I said, shit starts going weird automatically. I said I would bring up what was going on in a few of these characters' lives. So Ray had brought up earlier that Captain Miller on another ship had to leave a man behind, and the guy burned to death. So that's one thing. Ray, I'll let you go on this one. What's happening with Weir? What seems to have happened in Weir's life?
Weir lost his wife in a way that's revealed later to be a suicide. And he wasn't home for it. He was a workaholic. He was working on the Event Horizon when she did this. So it kind of coincides that he's going to, a full circle, that he's going to the Event Horizon and then starting to see his dead wife on the way there while he's there. So, yeah, he's very distraught from it.
Super, like, good acting job and super sad scene is when he is seeing her do it and he says, "Not again."
Yeah.
Like, please, not again. And he has to sit there and watch her, like, and she does the whole thing, like, that you hear people doing where she pretties herself up and, she prepares herself and then she gets in a bath And as he's watching, she cuts her wrists, and he has to see it.
Question though, why did they cut it right there? Right when she takes her robe down, they cut to her getting in the tub and then show her tits. Why couldn't I see ass and titties?
I think they were trying to, Ray. I think that was a storytelling thing. I think they were trying to say this is a harsh scene. I don't know if like we can really round it out with some ass and titties.
12 and 14-year-olds are watching this. Okay, we need the ass and the titties in our horror. Okay, this is the 90s. Damn it, it's required by contract.
Now, a couple of the characters, we don't really get any like trauma.
So I'm trying to remember. I remember the Kathleen Quinlan's. So she is seeing visions of her son.
He has pretzel legs.
He's got all these lesions and stuff going on.
Pretzel legs?
No, like straight pretzel sticks. They're all.
I thought that was a medical diagnosis you did there, Dr. John.
Yes. Yeah. I hate to break this to you, Kathleen Quinlan, but your actor son has pretzel legs.
Pretzel leg syndrome.
There's Snyder's bits.
Snyder's bits.
Snyder's bits. That's all he's got.
Your son has pretzel leg syndrome, and you can get as salty as you want, but it's not going to cut the mustard.
But they'll go good with a nice dip.
Yeah, this is not Philadelphia style. So she has the son, but Cooper, we don't really get anything on.
I don't get Cooper now.
Okay, here's the thing about Cooper, right? Is that Cooper never really went into the ship. Everybody else had went into the ship at that point. Cooper was outside fixing the Lois and Clark. Yeah, that's why.
Cooper never went inside. Neither did Smitty. Neither did DJ, right? Or did DJ go in at one point? Because
DJ was in. Once they cleared everything and got the grav back, when they got the gravity back, DJ went in.
But he never has anything.
He had to go in because
he had to go in for Justin.
Right. So Justin's the one that really gets the shit out of this stick because he's the engineer. Yeah. And let's just describe the inside of the Event Horizon real quick. On one end at the front, you've got the forward, like the bridge and all that stuff. There is an incredibly long tunnel that connects it to the back end where engineering and the engines are. In this tunnel, and there's it's very gothic. This is a very weirdly designed ship, like very odd. But in that tunnel, this is important to mention, there are explosives lining the tunnel. In case anything ever happened with the engines, it's basically a scuttle option where they can blow up the tunnel. It would separate the engines from the forward part. Forward part acts as a lifeboat. This is all very important because guess what? It happens in the fucking movie later on.
Of course.
Jason X style.
So Justin goes all the way back to the engines by himself, right? Now, Captain Miller has been hearing weird things. The Quinlan character has been the Kathleen Quinlan character has been seeing her dead son hopping around, and also she ends up on the bridge, and nobody seems to notice that there's just fucking like spaghetti bolognese everywhere, all over the walls. It's
bones, guts, ass, all over the wall.
It is everywhere. There's like intestines and fucking bones and skulls. Nobody
what
sees
would it
this right
smell
away.
like? I mean, it's been in stasis for 7 years. I mean, what would it smell like?
I wonder the same thing. I'm like, how do they not smell this? It must be frozen to the point that it's like, okay, in a couple hours it's going to stink. So Justin goes all the way in the back, and he ends up with the gravity drive, which is easily the coolest fucking design piece in this whole movie, Lloyd. How would you describe this thing? Oh, I think Lloyd's frozen.
Oh my. We said stasis and he froze.
I think the word stasis froze him. Good God. That's a good one too. I've never seen him go this long.
Wow. Is he thinking?
He might drop out and come back in again. All right, we'll keep going. He'll pop back in a second. So Ray,
I'll take the question.
You take the question, Ray.
Yeah,
because Manser is currently frozen on the screen.
All right. What was the question? I forgot.
I'll redo it. So Justin gets back there, and we get what is easily probably the coolest, I guess, production piece in this movie, the gravity drive. How would you describe this thing?
As a spherical torture chamber, essentially. There's spikes on the walls. There's spikes on the they called it like a gravity containment, but they said that the black hole that they made to use the little warp drive thing or whatever it's called, the gravity drive, that was hidden behind 3 layers of protection so it can never get out and things like that. Bullshit. That's why they had to put all the spikes on it. I don't know.
Yeah. I had read that it was actually Paul Anderson had actually designed this heavily based on the Lament configuration box from Hellraiser.
Yes, and ironically enough, Clive Barker was he was on set giving suggestions to Paul Anderson while he was trying to configure the room and come up with the warp drive. He's like, yeah, put a couple spikes here, a couple pieces of leather over here.
Yeah,
Good.
it certainly is not an inviting looking room. It's not like, if you've ever seen like Star Trek 09, like the engineering room there is it's like this very serene and clean environment. This is fucking absolute craziness. Like you said, spikes, giant balls, lights, and at one moment it basically enables itself, and Justin sees what appears to be like a big in the middle of it, like black goop.
Yeah,
and he gets sucked into it. He gets
just
sucked
called
into
the darkness. That's pretty much all they call it. Is just the darkness. He gets sucked into it.
It's essentially, I guess they're saying it's a singularity. It's a black hole. This thing creates black holes, and that's how it does what it does.
John, I don't think the drive ever shut off. That's always been my thing. Like, they think that the ship just reappeared and just was dead. I don't think it was ever dead at all. I think it went through and stayed on, and that's why when Justin showed up, it kind of activated itself to suck him in.
So you think that it was just constantly like in that phase?
Yep.
Okay.
They never say it. They never say it in the movie, but it's always what I thought, because it's the only thing that really made sense to me.
They get Justin out. He is now catatonic and basically all fucked up. He ends up having like black eyes and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
So he's down and out. And then what happens with him where he does a little bit of a sleepwalking incident, or something's happening?
Yeah, pretty much the darkness. After what he saw in there, he said he didn't want anybody else to see it. So, no, that was later. So what he saw in there, he didn't want to be alive anymore because it's just burned into his brain. So he goes to the airlock and wants to off himself, as anyone should, had they seen the perversions of the darkness. But
of course, he wakes up out of his kind of controlled stupor while he's in the airlock, and they have to enable a pretty daring rescue where Captain Miller, again going above and beyond for his people, puts on a spacesuit and goes outside and tells Justin that he's going to have to open the airlock and basically blow all of his air out of his lungs so he doesn't explode. And Miller,
but he did it in a calm and cool, collected manner. Like, he's trying to talk him down off a ledge almost.
Yeah.
Knowing it's too late. He's just telling him it's going to be okay. Do this. Yeah. He stayed calm, cool, and collected the entire time.
Yep. He saves him, but there's been some pretty severe damage done to Justin, so they have to put him back into the gravity bed to keep him safe. So he's the first one that's kind of down and out.
The CG on the eye bursting was kind of weak, but like I explained earlier, it's not ILM, right? So it's not going to look super duper good. But yeah, I didn't think the CGI on the veins starting to go in his arms was bad. But yeah, I agree. Now here, I will give you one, I guess, maybe complaint that I do have about this movie, and I'll see if even as a super fan, if you kind of agree with me or not. I feel like the act structure in this movie is lopsided, because to me, it feels like we get the setup in the beginning where we find out what the mission is. We get to the event horizon, and it seems like stuff starts happening so fast that when the shit hits the fan, like especially Weir's turn, it just feels like it happens really fast. Do you agree with me, Ray? I just feel like there maybe is like a 15-minute buffer they could have included with maybe a little bit more of the haunting stuff, a little bit more of, of maybe some of that kind of stuff, where it just seems to jump right in. I think it has to, for budgetary reasons. They had a lot more film for this movie than originally planned. Like, they got it down to an R rating, thank God, because it was an NC-17.
Yeah, 130 minutes, the first cut. Yeah.
Yeah, so there was more to it. But, they needed that R rating, so they need to cut a lot of things. I think the pacing is fine for what it is, and the length that it is, the length of the movie, it's perfectly fine. I mean, this is also the 90s where movies didn't exceed really an hour and a half very often, unless you're like The Godfather or The Thing, or it very rarely went over that time frame. So hour and a half movie, perfect. I wish they'd make more of them, to be honest with you. But the pacing is fine. Lopsided? I wouldn't say lopsided. I would say if my theory is correct about the darkness and that drive, if it's on the entire time, of course, as soon as they put their feet down, shit's going to hit the fan.
So Manster dropped out for a minute. He had some internet problems. So Ray has a theory, and he's probably right.
Fuck, that's what's up.
That once Justin goes into the grav drive and comes out of it, Ray's basically saying that he thinks that the engine's always been on. It's never been off, and it's just been kind of waiting for people to come and to introduce them to this hell. Now, I had asked him, and I'll ask you too, the one thing about this movie that I guess I felt like was kind of glaring to me was I felt like there was like a lopsidedness to the pacing of this movie a little bit, where it seems like once they get on the event horizon, it seems like Weir's turn is accelerated all of a sudden. Like Weir seems very reasonable in the beginning, almost like bullied by these guys to a point, and almost like, and it actually could be a good story point, is that the second they get on the event horizon, he's like empowered, and he becomes like kind of a dickhead. You know what I mean?
But I also think like when he was in the vents, the green colored vents, and he was fixing something, and he started hearing whispers of his name and stuff. I think he was taken aback, because I was trying to remember from the last time I seen it if Ware was in on it like the whole time. But I don't feel like he was. I think he was just another victim of it, but he embraced it
because he built it.
Yeah, because he built it.
That was his baby.
Yep.
It's like if I always compare it to this, if a loving mother has a child and that child grows up and kills a bunch of people, does the mother still love it? Or, does she disown it? She's probably going to love it if she's a good mother. He didn't do anything wrong, that type of thing.
Right.
So he's looking at it as a baby going, that baby didn't do no wrong. It might have killed its whole crew, but that's my baby.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So he's looking at it as, I made this thing. This thing that did these incredible things, even if they're bad.
I just thought of this 25 years later. I just thought of this. Maybe sees the ship as a way to get to his wife, right? Like to be with her again, to be reunited, because the ship is almost promising him that, when you become a part of this ship, we're going to be together. Right. And that's what he's wanted all along. He's just wanted his wife back. So
yeah, no, I definitely can see that take for sure.
Dig deep, guys. Come on, dig deep with me.
So as stuff starts to kind of roll out of control here, they decide that they're kind of going through the event horizon. They're just seeing more and more stuff. Miller ends up seeing the guy that he ended up leaving behind, and he's on fire and all this stuff. Hey,
in my brief absence, did you talk about the meat grinder hallway?
We did not. Go ahead, Manster.
Okay. No. Sorry to interrupt, but we can get there normally. But.
Well, we talked about the drive, but you're right. Like the hallway to get to it. We did mention that
we can come back to it at Peters when Peters croaks.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's where I was going to go. Let's get towards moving towards that stuff there.
Oh, John. Also, what you were talking about the pacing. Okay, so I love Alien with all my heart. I love Alien, the first Alien and Aliens. I love Alien, but the pacing of Aliens at some point drags its feet.
Oh yeah.
This film did not drag its feet. It got right to the point, and that's what it needed. It couldn't be another Alien.
Ray, I can't agree with you on that, but I respect you. I just can't agree. I love Alien. I love Alien.
I know.
Well, I think Alien does drag its feet a little bit.
A little bit.
It's a little dry. It's a little slow.
You could have cut 10 minutes off of Alien, and it would have been a perfectly.
No, I wouldn't even go that far.
5-star movie. 5-star. All right. So Miller starts to see the person he left behind. A lot of weird stuff's going on. The Lewis and Clark can't leave because it's got some damage on the outside. So Smitty and Cooper have been kind of in charge of putting that back together.
A little bit of patchwork.
A little bit of patchwork.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get right to the scene that like caused so many issues with this movie, the blood orgy. I don't know what they call it, but
Yeah, blood orgy.
Yeah,
I certainly paused it a few times to kind of catch some of the things that I was seeing. So Ray, what is this scene? What's going on here?
it's a whole bunch of sexy is what's going on. There's people getting banged in the background. There's blood everywhere, razor blades, barbed wire,
People with
shit that shouldn't be
arms and
on that ship,
fists in
guys.
people's mouths and
It looks like
Yeah.
someone's reaching down someone's
Fucking-
throat
Yep.
at one point.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
did
the
you read
ultimate hand-
about-
that's the ultimate hand job right there.
Oh, hand job I don't want. Did you read about the director's cut with all that extra footage and
Yeah. And you know what's crazy is that he hired a whole bunch of like carny people,
yeah,
porn
stars.
stars,
porn stars and
and
limbless
he
people?
filmed this shit like not even second unit. He did it on the weekend while editing, while still filming the actual movie. It's crazy how much work Paul put into this movie.
Now, for the people out there that may have not seen this movie, Master, what is the context of that scene, though? Like, what is the crew finding?
Barbed wire
Uh,
dildos.
Yeah, the crew is just finding this orgy type video with all the crew members of the original Event Horizon. Just, of course, none of it's clear. None of it's, it's out of focus. It's choppy. It's
Well, they had to
grainy
avoid
and all
that
that.
NC-17.
Of
That's why
course.
you only saw blips and
you
snippets
just
of it.
see quick cuts of some kind of fucking ridiculously painful orgy.
Yeah,
You get-
orgasms in Latin.
You do
Yeah.
I think you get the captain holding his own eyeballs out, like he looks.
Yeah,
like
the
Pac-Man.
guy who originally said "save me," right?
Yeah.
Yep.
He's holding his eyeballs out because I think he doesn't want to see what the fuck's going on.
He
Yeah,
said
this
the
was
same.
my
He said
thing.
the same line, the Libertad thing, and then was pushing out his eyeballs to give them to somebody. The cameraman who filmed this thing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
So from that point, this is when Miller says, "We're fucking leaving. Here's the plan. We're gonna fucking get in the Lewis and Clark. It's gonna be repaired in a couple seconds. We have to get some equipment off of the Event Horizon. They had to take air scrubbers from the Lewis and Clark, move them to the Event Horizon, so they got to
Yeah.
do it backwards again. We're taking off, and then he tells Weir, like, by the way, Weir is very much like, you can't leave the Event Horizon. This is our house now." And he's like, "We're not only going to get on the Lewis and Clark, but we're going to fucking blow it out of the fucking sky with missiles, and then we're going to take the trip back to Earth." Weir doesn't like that very much, right? So Smitty is in the the lower decks with the scrubbers, and he sees Weir going somewhere. What do they realize, Ray? What has he taken, and what is he going to do?
He has taken a little bit of explosive C4 from the bridge for the emergency plan to blow it in half, and how he has put it on the Lois and Clark.
Yes. So he's putting
Hidden it very well, by the way.
Yeah. So that's actually, by the way, I'm sorry, where Smitty is. He's on the Lewis and Clark, getting it prepared to take off. Everybody else is either Cooper is still on the outside fixing it, and everybody else is on the Event Horizon.
I always had a question about this, John, about Event Horizon. Is that okay? They had enough CO2 to get there, but didn't have enough to get home. What if there had been no CO2 on that ship? What are they doing?
Well, they have to make some more, a la the Martian.
Oh, okay. They ain't gonna make it to Mars.
Yeah, I was wondering. I guess they didn't plan on, if they got to the Event Horizon and it didn't have scrubbers, they should have brought more scrubbers instead of
Right.
using the scrubbers from their ship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that doesn't make a lot of
What
sense.
if they had?
Right.
I mean,
There's an outpost with
ships-
scrubbers on Uranus.
Yes.
It was Neptune, but yeah. I mean, where did they think they were getting all the CO2 from?
Yeah, you're
Nope.
right. You're right, because we didn't mention it, but that's another problem they run into, is that the air is becoming poisonous very quickly.
I can look past it.
So so Smitty finally, Miller tells him it's a bomb. He realizes that he sees that it's missing. Miller finally finds it, or I'm sorry, Smitty finally finds it. Too late, blows
Yep.
up in his fucking face. The Lewis and Clark is fucking gone. This scene, the tone of it is a little bit goofier than I might have gone for if I was a filmmaker, with Cooper, where Cooper is just like, he gets blown out into space and he's much more gallant about it than I would be. He's kind of like laughing and like, "Oh yeah, I'm coming back now." I'm like,
Yep.
"No, man."
I'd be more like Sandra Bullock in Gravity.
Oh fuck! If I was out, first of all, if you had me on the outside of a spaceship, you've already done a good enough job. You've defied the laws. But then if I get blown into fucking space I don't know, man. I'm just thinking to myself, I'm just gonna open my helmet up. That's it, you know. But he's kind of having a good time with it, or at least not panicking. Let's give him some credit where credit's due.
He's a rescue ranger, man. He's gonna make it back. That's his job. Remember, that's what I do, baby.
Chip, Dale, and Cooper, Rescue Rangers.
Yeah, pretty much.
So back on the Event Horizon, is this where Miller runs into Weir again? And now Weir is Manster. What has happened to Weir since the last time we saw him in his fully corporeal form?
His corporeal form. Well, now he looks like some fucking cut up snake face creature.
Yeah, eyeballs gone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, eyeballs gone.
He's
Yeah,
ripped his eyeballs.
Did we skip past Peter's death and all the other
Probably.
things? BJ's or DJ's death and things like that?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's a pretty significant. That's a really good looking kill.
Yes. Although the timing in which he was able to do what he did to DJ, I don't know if it was really sped up. Like he did that quick.
Well, I mean, he's an engineer, guys. Come on. Engineers know how to hang up bodies real quick. Okay, they got pulley systems and all that. They're smart, guys.
That was the ultimate. What do you call that? Remember that Viking show, Blood Eagle? Was that what
Blood
it's
Eagle.
called?
Yeah.
Yeah. Holy
Yeah.
shit, that was. Ugh.
So Peters is again. She sees pretzel legs and she starts following him up all these ladders. She follows him up a ton of ladders, and then essentially, you know, it's a vision, obviously, and he tricks her into just stepping over a hole in the
right down
in
that
the
shaft.
flooring, down a shaft. She fucking hits her head hard, and
not even just hit her head, man. She hit her
on every
like,
every little
body
platform on the way down.
You know all those little spikes we were talking about, guys?
Yeah,
they're all in the fucking vents too. Bing,
Yeah.
bing, bing, bing.
this
Yeah,
is not a
so-
comfortable looking ship.
No.
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 The Event Horizon was,
Prometheus was more comfortable than this.
if the Event Horizon was like a Chrysler vehicle, it would be the Event Horizon, built for terror, not for comfort. So she's dead, and then Weir has now kind of become this, this minion of hell, super beast, whatever he is.
Yeah.
He looks like Zaz, Zaz from Batman. He's all cut up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, if you
Eyeballs
look
all fucked up.
in the credits, it actually says Weir Beast. So I'm thinking that he's just the Beast, whatever that means.
So yeah, I look at him as kind of the living embodiment of, as you say, the darkness. He's kind of like the Event Horizon's kind of avatar.
Conduit, like a conduit. Yeah.
So
Moon Knight.
He's Moon Knight. He ends up going and taking DJ out, and he lays DJ out on like a surgical table, gets his shirt off. We see a big like scar from like some kind of like major surgery on DJ. They don't really show much. I'm assuming in the original version you probably saw more.
Oh,
But he just cuts him. He cuts him up, and then we see him kind of getting some sewing implements. And by the time,
you see DJ's reaction, his facial expressions.
Oh yeah, he's screaming like a motherfucker. And by the time Miller gets to the infirmary where this happened, Ray, as you said, how do we find the body?
Just strung up, Hellraiser, like he had just opened that puzzle box, just flung out with hooks in him, and just guts splayed out, everything. It's just everywhere. It's a great looking kill. I wish they would have gotten a close up though.
So did you hear that Jason Isaacs, he wanted that sculpt, that body of his? He fucking wanted that to bring home so we could have it.
That's great. That's a Halloween prop and a half. It pays for itself.
That was pretty cool.
That was cool.
I thought,
said no dice though. No, can't have it.
I thought what might have been the cooler part of the whole effect was, so the body is hanging up, split open. If you look below it, it's like all the innards are like
all
just
over,
right on the fucking table. Like, very
there
cool.
was a scene that was filmed, but it wasn't put in. They took it out and kind of went with the R rating version. Is DJ's he's hung up like this, right? And then he's still alive, and he looks up at Miller, and then Miller has that bolt thrower and kind of puts one in his head to put him out of his misery.
Oh, okay. All right.
That would have been a lot cooler.
So for all you people who are not getting the visual here, he's naked. He is prone, so he's like on his stomach, say.
He's hanging from the ceiling.
Maybe 6 or 8 fish hooks hooked into his back, the skin on his back and neck and stuff. And it's like, looks like fishing wire. Like he's just suspended, and he's about 2 or 3 feet above a table, and his belly is just wide open.
Yep.
with all
And
his
then to
guts
paint the
out.
further picture, there's Pinhead in the corner jerking off, going, "Oh, good suffering."
Pinhead with his fucking leather skirt up over his knees.
Yeah.
He's got his fucking hand Western style on his penis upside down with the thumb hitting the
Oh, yeah.
pubes.
No, he's got the hook in the hole.
Oh.
He's yanking on his
Oh.
pee-pee hole.
Yep.
All right, so now all we have left is we have Miller is left. Cooper, by the way, is still alive. We'll find out he's coming back to the ship using his oxygen as kind of like a booster
He's a
rocket.
rocket man. Yeah.
We don't really, and I found this out watching the making of. You don't really find out what happens to the Jolie Richardson character. You find her knocked out, but there was a scene that was cut out that just had very basic CGI where Weir chases her down a ladder. Did you see this, Ray, or no? It's on the DVD. So she's in like one of the ladders, and he's chasing her, and he's crawling, and he's all skinned and bloody, and she falls down the ladder and hits her head.
Yeah,
that's why when you see her, she's knocked out.
This is on the DVD, the special edition that they put out. They had found more footage from the original reel in Transylvania, of all places.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, Salt Mine in Transylvania.
Yeah, weird, right? I know, an odd place to find an original cut of a film, but they put it in. And when you watch the DVD version, it's very unfinished. It doesn't look like. Do you remember the added scenes they put in Alien, in the original Alien, and how they weren't finished, and the DVD menu had to pop up and say, this isn't complete,
right?
Because it looked like crap. Kind of the same thing. It was just thrown in there, market special edition, as we did with every DVD in the 2000s, and then just distribute it.
Yep. Yeah, I when I saw it, it wasn't part of like deleted scenes. It was during the interview with Paul Anderson. He was talking about some of the cut scenes. It wasn't actually ever filmed, but there was actually an entire, and they couldn't do it because of budget. There was an entire different opening sequence with the crew of the Lewis and Clark, where it introduced them rescuing a mining ship, and that was how you were supposed to. It was called the Lucky Strike sequence because the ship was called the Lucky Strike. It was a mining ship that had somehow come into trouble in space, and that's how they introduced them initially, was saving the ship, and you meet the crew there, and then you meet them again with Weir, not the first time. So let's get to wrapping this up. Miller decides that him and Jolie Richardson's character are going to basically take Justin. They're going to get into the front half, use it as a lifeboat, and scuttle everything else. As they get to the front, they run into Weir one more time, and he's just like, he's in the captain's chair, and his eyes are ripped out. He's all fucked up. And just as he's about to fucking like win the day, who comes floating through the fucking front window, Ray? Who's shooting through the front window?
Who else would it be but our resident rocket man, Koopa?
Koopa,
the comic relief of the entire film, finally got back. I don't know how do you in
Comic
space?
relief.
How do you direct yourself while propelling through space?
You certainly don't. You certainly don't.
But he lands right on the fucking bridge. Like, he's right there.
He goes right through the front window. How is it on a spaceship?
Oh no.
The front window is that fallible that a man can go through it. Yeah, you know what I mean?
He didn't go through it. He landed on it, and then Weir had the bolt gun.
The bolt gun.
Yeah, bolt gun shot it.
And it shattered it. And then he kind of came in after that.
I still think a bolt gun shouldn't be able to shatter a windshield,
especially for
a spaceship,
a deep space, vehicle, or a deep space ship like that. Master, you work in.
It was compromised.
You work in the aerospace industry. Would you, if you were designing a window for a spaceship, if that was your purview, you're a tool maker, but if that was your purview, would one of the first things be that it can't be broken by any easy methods? If that's what's going to keep you between?
Yeah, I would.
Space?
I would just like in the Marianas Trench. It's got to take that pressure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I'm just going with the fact that was compromised in the crash.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
Well, then again, when Cooper was using the bolt gun on the Lois and Clark, it was going through metal, not just glass.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, how do we know they didn't have budget cuts on the Event Horizon?
Right.
Maybe we don't get that contract.
Maybe Weir designed the bolt gun.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Supersonic.
Maybe there were budget cuts in the Event Horizon. Maybe the original version of the Event Horizon had some kind of fail safe that it couldn't go to hell. Like there was some kind of like thing built into the engine where it was like a hell barrier, and they were like, we can't afford that. Like the odds of this,
Get rid of the hell barrier.
get rid of the hell barrier. And they're like, that's pretty important. And they're like, listen, the odds of this thing
We
going
just
to
use
hell,
cheesecloth. It's all right.
the odds of this thing going to hell are like 1 in 1,000. It's not going to go through hell. It's not going to come back possessed and evil.
But it really didn't go to hell.
Even
Weir even says is that hell is just a word. I'm going to show you reality.
yeah.
What he classified it kind of as is a chaos dimension, essentially run by Shumagarath. Just saying. Comics fans out there, Shumagarath rules.
Oh no, I got it. I got it. Yeah. So Ray, I'm going to let you end this off for us. What is the final? How do we finally get off the event horizon? Who has to sacrifice himself, and what happens to Weir?
Weir eventually gets blown out the window by Mr. Koopa, the Rocket Man, and then somehow, some way, gets revitalized by the darkness, and then appears down at the drive where Miller is, where he sees his friend burning again for I think the third time in this film, and then Miller has to sacrifice himself, guys. Lawrence Fishburne always sacrificing himself in every movie except Nightmare 3. Yeah, and then that's it. Blows himself up to Kingdom Come. But Sam Neill's effects, like that, those cuts and all that makeup effect that he did, A+, perfect. I loved it. It's like the final form, right?
Yeah,
Right.
final form.
Yeah, I loved it. Like now he's like fully one with the ship. He is the Event Horizon now.
The final scene, we get Justin, who is, he doesn't ever come out of deep sleep, but he's still alive. Cooper and the Jolie Richardson character essentially wake up as they're being rescued. But we have to have that moment that we get in every horror movie ever. And apparently this was not the original ending. This was added on afterwards, where one of the rescuers takes his mask off as he's reassuring her, and it turns out to be Weir, and she screams, and the movie kind of ends there.
Yeah.
Did you like that? I wish I get it. I know they have to do that sometimes, but I wasn't a fan of that.
I didn't like it. I thought it was too cliched. But what I did like is when those rescue guys come in and they can somehow see through that murky, really gross glass that Justin was like banged up pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could tell that guy was sick. He didn't have a good night.
Yeah, he was all fucked up looking. He was all fucked up.
I thought it was very homage-y. I thought it was very Friday the 13th.
Everything in this movie was homage.
Oh yeah, definitely is. But it kind of felt like that Friday the 13th with the hand in the water, and then Jason pops out at the last minute to give you that final. They don't really do that anymore in horror films.
The Carrie hand coming out of the grave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You got to get that final scare in, and I thought that's what they were trying. I'm just going to blame it on as it's an homage. That's it. I'm just going to take it that way.
The mannequin of Nancy's mom being pulled through the window in the door in Nightmare 1.
Yeah, there you go.
The fucking fake legs.
I mean, are we supposed to believe that it's going to continue?
No, there was never a plan for a sequel, and Anderson knew it. This was a one and done.
No, well, especially why don't we, Manster, now that we've talked about the movie, why don't we talk a little bit about budget and box office?
This country, you got to make the money first.
So this thing has a $60 million budget, pretty respectable budget.
Healthy.
For a film like that. Yeah, box office, 42 million worldwide, full run. Not good. So the weekend it came out, the August 15th weekend of 1997, number 5 movie that weekend was Spawn at just about 5 million. Event Horizon came in at number 4.
We beat Spawn, baby.
We beat Spawn. 9.5 million. Then Conspiracy Theory, great movie. Air Force One at number 2. And number 1 movie that weekend, Copland.
Oh, fuck. I love Copland.
Wow.
Copland.
That's a good movie. A good movie. It's never a good sign when the movie we talk about comes in 4th. For its initial run at least. Now,
but it's still better than Spawn.
It was certainly better than Spawn.
In its 3rd week.
Yeah. Certainly better than Spawn. And let's be honest. One of the things that, as we mentioned before, I just bought the Shout Scream Factory version of this. I mean, if a movie doesn't win over an audience, eventually they don't make like sets like that for
Right.
movies, right? So this movie did certainly take on a secondary life in the DVD market of like 1998. It did pretty well, like at that point.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where it made a majority of its money was
Yep.
the DVD sales and the VHS sales.
Yeah.
So let me give you the top 10 of the year 1997.
Wasn't Spawn.
I got worldwide and domestic. This is ranked worldwide, but there's one really interesting one. So number 10, My Best Friend's Wedding. Number 9, Star Wars 1997 Special Edition.
Oh yeah.
Number 8, Good Will Hunting. 7, As Good as It Gets. 6, Air Force One. 5, Liar Liar. Number 4, The Lost World, Jurassic Park. Number 3, Men in Black. Now I find this absolutely crazy.
I know what you're gonna say.
What?
I have a feeling it's Batman and Robin.
No,
Oh,
they're
okay,
not in
second.
here. It's even crazier than that. So number 2, and this is according to Box Office Mojo, worldwide, 1997, number 2 movie, Bean,
Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
Mr. Bean. So
Fuck- what?
domestically, it made 45 million.
Yeah, in
Anyone
England,
care to guess what it made worldwide?
I'd say in England alone, it made 26 billion pounds.
Goddamn currency exchange boosted Bean to number 2. Really?
Number
Foreign
2,
exchange rates.
worldwide, 251 million.
Holy shit!
And number 1 that year, Titanic, 1.8 billion.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll tell you something funny about Bean real quick. So that was a show on HBO and Rowan Atkinson, and I've seen bits and pieces of it, and it has made me laugh. I've never seen the movies. My dad is a stoic guy. My dad doesn't laugh at a lot. Bean would come on, and my dad would laugh fucking through the whole thing. There's one Bean where he drove this little yellow car, like picture like one of those little mini yellow British cars. And he goes to a shop in town to buy a couch, and the whole thing's about him buying a couch, and he can't figure out how to get it home because of his car. So it ends with him mounting the couch on top of the car and driving the car with reins. And my father's rolling. And my father has never, my father's never laughed at a fucking thing I've ever said.
Uh-huh.
and I remember watching that with him and going, "This is what makes you fucking laugh."
Yeah.
Mr.
The
fucking
ingenuity,
Bean.
John.
Yeah.
He never had to say a word.
No.
Yeah,
No.
right,
he
right.
didn't.
Although his stand-up was hilarious. If you ever have time to go back and watch it, it is actually pretty funny.
He is funny.
He is. Rowan Atkinson's a very funny guy.
Yeah.
For sure. For
All
sure.
right, one more quick thing. Event Horizon that year came in number 77. Like I said before, 26 mil. Do you know what it beat out?
Spawn.
Probably, but beat out Boogie Nights.
No.
Yeah.
That's Joey DiCarlo from So Wizard Podcast, like his inspiration
Yeah.
for life. He looks in the mirror, pulls down his pants, and says, "I am a rock star."
I'm a rock star.
Oh no, he goes, "I'm a big star, a big shiny star," and then he goes in podcast.
Yeah, that's what
I
it
could-
is.
I could honestly imagine it was probably released in a lot more theaters. I saw Boogie Nights in the theaters, and at the time, I mean, even thinking about it now, it was more of like I don't want to say art house picture, but it was an indie movie. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
What a
it's also
cast.
and a huge cast, and both of these movies had directors named Paul Anderson.
Paul
so,
Anderson.
yeah, the Paul Anderson movie. All right,
But that one had Roller Girl,
it
Heather
did.
Graham, and
Yeah.
naked with roller skates.
Yeah,
Porn
and
star.
and
Do the math.
Julianne Moore, who I have a thing for Julianne Moore. So
Yeah, we all, brother.
Well, I had a hard time believing that, but according to
You-
Box Office Mojo, that's the numbers.
hey, they've always been good to us over at Box Office Mojo, where we get all of our box office info for the pint. All right, it's that time. Let's rate this motherfucker.
You gentlemen seen your midterm grades yet?
Well, they're not posted yet, sir.
I've seen them.
All right, so if you've heard the pint, this is how we do it. Scale of 0 to 5. 0 being the absolute fucking worst piece of shit you have ever seen. 5 being the greatest thing ever made on Earth. Quarter and half scale optional. We're going to end this with 8-Bit Ray from the Gorilla Brain podcast and 8-Bit Ray over on Twitch. Check him out. What nights again, Ray?
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And I know the podcast, you've been doing stuff, but kind of like slower than normal. Are you going back to it on a normal?
Yep, normal schedule. I got one coming out soon. It's in the editing bay right now. It's been a crazy week, but it's coming. Yeah.
And give everybody out there real quick again, like your Twitter handle and all that stuff.
At Gorilla Brain Podcast on Twitter, at Gorilla Brain Pod on Twitter, at Gorilla Brain Podcast on Instagram, at 8-Bit Ray on Twitch. Yeah, that's about it for all the socials, at least the ones I main. I'm on TikTok as well at 8-Bit Ray. You can add to the 37.1K thousand followers, boys and girls.
Ooh,
Wow.
I went viral off dumb videos, don't I? Don't.
That's still good. And we always ask our listeners to always check our guests out. Always cool stuff. All right, Manster, let's start with you. Let's rate 1997's 25th anniversary edition here on the pint of Event Horizon. What do you give this thing?
Event Horizon. By the way, 29% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Go fuck
So
yourselves.
low. So low. It lives in the shadow of other superior movies. It's got a strong opening. I think it promises some pretty cool thrills in the beginning. It delivers a lot of style, I think, over substance, but it does have a pretty intriguing plot. You know, the whole dimension or hell, whatever, evil. It's got flashy effects. It's got a lot of gore. Apparently, it had a lot more gore that actually made people faint
Yeah.
in initial runs. You know, but despite it's got a lot of horror cliches. But it's, to me, it's watchable and enjoyable and entertaining. I think what it does well. You know, I think it's raised up a little bit by some of the performances. I think Fishburne and what's his name, Pertwee.
Yeah.
I always have trouble saying that name. I think they bring a little bit of class to a lot of like B-movie dialogue. So for me, I think this is I'll use your term. It's a solid 3 out of 5.
I knew solid was coming from the way you were talking. All right. So I'll go next. If you had asked me in 1998, I would have buried this thing. I really, you know what it was I was so psyched to see it. I think my expectations were bigger than what could have happened. And I just was disappointed, but I was also young and maybe expecting too much. I fully credit Ray with when I listened to his episode and his his kind of passion for the movie. That was a couple years ago, I think, and I watched the movie around that time, and that was when I kind of had said, you know, this is better than I remember. And then there might have been like an incidental, like, you know, maybe it was on something, flipping the channels and caught a little bit of it. So I started thinking, you know what, this would be a good one to do with Ray and a good one to revisit and a good reason to revisit it. And I go along with a lot you said. And I also factor in the production problems this thing had and like the almost impossible task it was given. You know, we're making you open 4 months ahead of time to trade places what will eventually become one of the biggest movies of all time. You're the one that's going to suffer, though. Like Titanic is going to get all the time in the world to do what they got to do. You have got a faster shooting schedule. You have got no pre-production time. You've got to make this movie, and it's got to be a hit, and it just didn't happen. And some of the reasons also go, in my opinion, this isn't like a summer movie. Like, this is not like a midsummer movie. You think usually action, this is like maybe like, you know, October, Halloween time, or maybe November, you know, when movies are a little bit, you know, slower, that kind of thing. I think there's good performances in it. I do agree. I think there's just a lot of B-movie dialogue in it, but the effects are really good. And even when it gets a little cringy dialogue wise, like some of it, like I get they're trying to like build character and family, but like the whole mama bear, papa, like a little corny, but okay. So this is markedly improved upon the first time I ever saw it. It's now a movie I own and a movie I'll watch again. So I've turned in a corner. I'll give it a solid 3.25.
Ooh.
I'll give it a solid 3.25. Nice. And again, I'm not kidding you. If we did this years ago, it would have been like a 1.5. It was just never something I was a fan of. But I've come around on this movie. I think it's worth watching. And I also implore anybody out there that maybe has not seen it in a long time or has a similar opinion. You might not change, but give it a shot. All right, 8-Bit Ray. Been great having you on. We got to have you on again. But
absolutely. If you guys ever do Resident Evil or Ghost Ship, by all means, give me a call. Ghost Ship, I will defend to the very end. I'm one of the last defenders of Ghost Ship. It's another one of those movies where you got to dig deep, boys and girls. It's all psychological.
You're a dog, defender of Ghost Ship.
But But no, my rating has not changed since the day I saw the movie. I was impressed by it. Now, the way this movie was presented and pitched to the Paramount was that it was going to be The Shining in space. Really, to me, it's an homage to a bunch of different franchises throughout history in the horror history.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate that. Sam Neill did not have to go above and beyond the way he did for this movie. This was a nothing movie. It was probably a nothing paycheck for him, but hey, add to his credit, he was doing artsy, kind of not artsy, but like In the Mouth of Madness wasn't really artsy, but it wasn't Jurassic Park. He didn't do the Lost World. He didn't continue rolling that ball. He wanted to stretch his wings. So he went to horror, In the Mouth of Madness, Event Horizon. Lawrence Fishburne needed the cred. And I think this helped him. Maybe he looked a little skinny in the face, but I think it helped him land that role in The Matrix. Possibly because he played it straightforward, like he was a fucking computer, right? Very robotic line dialogue, right? That was Lawrence Fishburne in this movie. The entire cast was great. I love this movie. The special effects, if you look and how Event Horizon has affected pop culture in the last 25 years is incredible to me. If you remember a game called Dead Space, right?
Oh, yeah.
The floating hand. It's on the fucking cover of the game. That was Event Horizon. Right. It has a cult following now, and I'm thankful for it because I'm tired of preaching the good word about Event Horizon to just nobody. So now we have, John and Manster, they've come around to it, right? A year ago, they probably would have shit on this movie. Or maybe not a year, but maybe 10 years ago. And now they've come around because they see they can dig deeper into the psychology of the movie and what Paul was trying to do. And what he was trying to do was make the best horror movie that he possibly could in space. And honestly, what can you do in space? It can get a lot worse, boys and girls. Leprechaun 4 in space. Hellraiser went to space. Jason went to space. But Event Horizon is leagues above all of them. And I love Leprechaun 4, don't get me wrong. That's another on the hill, guys. You guys have now found out 4 films that I will die on that hill for. And Leprechaun 4 is great. But Event Horizon is, to me, it wasn't anything original. Space horror has been done before, but I think that it did it a lot better than most that have tried it since then. And for that, Event Horizon gets a 4.279 from me out of 5 pints.
All right, we'll let you give a weird one.
I tried that on So Wizard. They cut it out.
No, you know what? I'm gonna
we'll take
in the official annals, I'll say it's a 4.25, but I'm gonna let
round
you
it
have
up.
that.
Just round it up.
I'm gonna let you round it up here. I'm gonna let you round it up. 4.3. You can have it. Ray, you can have it.
Thank you.
Manster, tell everybody about the Pint, where they can find us, all that good stuff.
You can find the Pint on all kinds of crazy crab apple pod catchers and iSpleen podcast and all that shit. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel on Facebook. It's The Pint, a pop culture podcast. On Instagram and Twitter, it's at The Pint Podcast. And please go check out our Patreon. That'll be patreon.com/The Pint. For $2.50 a month, you could be a Pint Insider. I think you'll love it. And if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and give us a review on any of those ones that allow reviews. That'd be really good.
Be honest, but if you're so inclined, give us 5.
Yeah.
But be honest. If we did something wrong, put it in there. Give it to us. If you didn't like us talking about Event Horizon's titties, then mention it. Right. That's fine. We're going to do it again. It's right in the beginning of the show. It's right in the beginning of the show.
Great titties.
Or the best quote from the movie from Cooper. Would you like something hot and black inside of you?
Yeah.
Amen.
Well, how about a cup of coffee then?
Well, then how about a cup of coffee?
All right,
I can say that to chicks.
All right, Manster, if we were to take one part of space-time and another part of space-time and fold them together and go through it, what would you tell everybody out there?
See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over. Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.